we are going to turn the wheel. I do believe the next thing that we're going to celebrate is IMBOLC. I do believe. Somewhere around February 2nd. I could be wrong. Let me get out my book and let's take a look. I've had this book forever. The Sabbats. Yeah, I know it's all yellow. It's old. But let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's see, we did Samhain. Right? Halloween, Samhain, the New Year, if you follow that tradition. Let's see, we did the winter solstice, December 22nd. Let's see. There's all kinds of stuff you can do for the winter solstice. IMBOLC, February 2nd. This will be the next thing that we celebrate on my channel. I'll read a little bit of it for you. IMBOLC was not originally a Sabbath as we think of one today, but a special day set aside to honor the goddess who was slowly turning the wheel of the year back to spring. Winter has a harsh season for our pagan ancestors, one during which many died of disease and malnutrition. Therefore, it is not surprising that most of the customs surrounding this Sabbath are designed as acts of sympathetic magic to lure back the sun and speed up the coming of the balmy warmth of spring. Yeah, I mean, I could keep reading. In Ireland, where much of our IMBOLC lore originates, this was a holy day for honoring the great mother goddess, Brigid, in her guise as the waiting bride of the youthful sun god, who was now returning to her. Among her many sacred interests were fertility, creative inspiration, metalsmithing, and medicine, and she was also a protectress, a healer, and a guardian of children. Her festival was so ingrained in the Irish culture that the church was forced to name the holiday St. Brigid's Day. How awesome is that, right? In honor of a saint who is, in reality, the goddess. In the not-too-distant past, it was customary in Irish villages for young women, and sometimes young men, to dress up as Brigid, Saint Brigid in old, worn clothing, to carry her image through the town with them. The girls would go begging from door to door, asking for alms for poor Biddy, the nickname for Brigid. Giving to her was thought to bring food, good fortune in the harvest to come. In France, where I'm from France, IMBOLC is a day to honor yet another saint, the feast day of Saint Blaise. A thinly disguised version of Brigid is a saint of winter protection and healing who was once widely worshipped and revered by the Celtic Britons. In keeping with the theme of this fire festival, Blaise's name is associated with the English word blaze, as in fire. Two other names commonly used for this Sabbath are IMBOLC and omelette. I don't know how to pronounce that one, both meaning ewe's milk. In Europe, this was the time when pregnant ewes began lactating, and the event was celebrated as another sign that winter was ending. In Cornwall, they honored this event by making a ritual drink from cider, mashed apples, honey, and the milk of pregnant ewes. Yeah, the Romans dedicated the Sabbath to Venus, and the Greeks named it the Festival of Diana, both goddesses of love. That ubiquitous first flower of spring, the crocus, was sacred to both of these deities, and the flowers were picked and used to lavishly adorn homes, altars, and people, especially young women who represented the virgin goddess at the Sabbath rituals. Though the Roman version of the IMBOLC Sabbath was dedicated to Venus, the month of February was dedicated to the goddess February and god Februs, for whom the month is named. February is the goddess of fresh starts, and her month was often euphemistically referred to as the cleansing time. The Romans also had a board game they played each year at IMBOLC, which is mentioned briefly in the 8th century Irish manuscript, the Book of Lismore. The board featured a crone and a dragon at one end, and a maiden and a lamb at the other. The object was to have the lamb conquer the dragon, making the crone goddess into the virgin goddess once again, and thereby turning the wheel of the year to spring. In Nordic tradition, kind of fond of this, the IMBOLC was known as a distincted and was a day to ritually prepare the earth for future planting by strewing it with salt, ashes, and sacred herbs. This was done even if the land was still covered in snow and ice. Yeah, it goes into everything. I mean, this is a great book on the Sabbaths. If you wish to turn the wheel with me and you're not sure what they are, this book is fantastic. It is the Sabbaths, a new approach to living the old ways. Llewellyn's World Religion and Magic series. It's actually a really good book. I want to say I got this back in like, I don't know, 98, 2000. But it's really good. And it talks about Candlemas and everything else. And the Sabbaths and, you know, to make a candle wheel. Which is actually what I think we're going to do this year. Make a candle wheel. Just to give you an idea of what it is. I'll go ahead and I'll do picture-in-picture, but I'll be doing that. And yes, it is February 2nd. Now, I need to look at the calendar on what that actually is, but there's lots of things we can do for it. And I did one for the winter solstice, and I will be doing it for IMBOLC. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on Zoom. And if you would like to participate, you just keep an eye out, because I'll be putting the Zoom link on my channel and also on my website and on my Facebook page, Lori Rawling. And, you know, I pray that you come and turn the wheel with me. Let's have some fun this year.